Alice. Is there a man in your future present, especially a black man? Listen to this. Black men are mean, arrogant, pretentious, condescending, violence-prone, brutes, incapable of tenderness. Now, I didn't say it, but I picked up a magazine the other day. It said it. We're going to talk in a moment with a psychoanalyst and a psychiatrist about man-woman relationships and coping.
For You Black Woman, brought to you in part by Nicholas Products.
What's this? Hey, look. Hey, lady, what's timbre power?
Power to make my hair do whatever I want.
But what's timbre?
Timbre calls the shots. It's the new liquid hair relaxer that makes my hair do whatever I say.
Ooh, ooh, timbre. Ooh, ooh, timbre. Ooh, ooh, timbre. All right.
See you, fellas.
I could get my mother there.
New Timbre Liquid Hair Relaxer. It'll teach your hair who's boss.
Come look at this face. Come even closer. Now check the skin. Not bad, huh? I use Ambi Skin Cream. And you're looking at skin Ambi helped beautify. See, Ambi helps get rid of blotches, dark spots, the works. Ambi conditions and softens your skin, too. And Ambi blends your skin into one beautiful glowing tone all over. That Ambi. It's something special. Ambi Skin Cream, where beautiful skin is coming from.
In order to be fair, let's first find out who we have here, and I'd love to hear your responses. Dr. Marie Saunders is a psychoanalyst in private practice in New York, and she's also an assistant professor with City University. And in the middle, the man, and I can't wait to find out whether or not all those things are true, Dr. Alvin Poussaint. He is a psychiatrist and based at Harvard Medical School, and you're also Dean of Students. Are black men mean, pretentious, condescending, violence-prone?
Well, no, that's obviously a stereotype. Sounds like the leader of the Ku Klux Klan wrote that statement, but it could have been other people. I think that
it was a black man responding to the play for colored girls, and he felt that the author was saying this by her statements.
Well, in that I think the author may have been saying that in that particular play. I think there've been a lot of problems between black men and black women. And it's kind of a feeling that black men don't hold up or stand up to being men and so on. Well, I think, see, it's hard to generalize. I think that some do, some don't. But I think that black men try to cope and survive because they've been pushed around and oppressed in the social in a different way than black women have been. See, the experiences have been a little bit different.
So you're suggesting then that the women sometimes are the brunt of these frustrations, but it's not necessarily deliberate.
Yeah, the black woman may be the brunt of the frustrations, but also the black man is the brunt of the frustrations of the black woman. That doesn't go one way.
I think there's something else involved here. The black man is a victim of a society. He's not so much the victim of the black woman as he is a victim of an oppressive society. The society has put an awful onus upon him, and they don't recognize him as a human being, and they haven't done anything for him because since he's become a glut on the market. He can no longer pick cotton, so he can't even economically compete.
But do you think this has affected the mind too, say, of the black woman in the way she sees the black man?
Well,
that
of
is,
course.
that she's been affected by conditioning of the society too that says a black man's
Okay,
not
well,
worth
let's
much.
look at
I
this now.
agree
In
with
your
you.
practice, for example, I know it's unfair to generalize, but what's the picture of a black man?
Well, unfortunately, most of these women grew up with the early movies where, they saw nothing but white men in movies, and these white men always came through in the end, did the right thing, married the girl, and they lived happily ever after. It's a kind of glamorized situation. So they grow up with the feeling that when they run into a black man, this is what's going to happen to them, without realizing all the oppression that he's gone through.
Why can't a woman expect that to happen?
I think
because of where he's coming from.
See, one of the things is that, particularly in this society, is that a woman sees a man as a protector, someone who takes care of them financially and otherwise, right? Although that's changing. I think the black woman was never really able to see the black man in that kind of role because, in fact, the black man could not protect them
or himself
in the system or protect himself. He was being lynched. Also, because of the whole employment situation and menial jobs, he frequently was not able to support a woman.
Now you're giving all the reasons why a situation might be such, but when you deal with a man in a one-to-one relationship, you may intellectually understand all the sociological explanations, but you're feeling pain, black eyes hurt, besides looking ugly, and women want to be romanced, and they want affection.
Well,
not that
I mean,
no woman ever gets it.
I mean, black men, black men do all of those things. I don't know, but if you're talking about some of the kind of frustration where the black man is striking out, hitting, slapping, or abusing the black woman, I would say that the black man too is a victim of the values in the society, say that elevated white women to a certain position and kept black women down, so that they might be operating, seeing the black woman too as more of a lowly kind of figure or person in the society, and then treating her with less respect. But I don't know.
Can a woman alter that? In other words, are there things that we can do as people, just as women, that bring out the kind of behavior in our man that we want to bring out?
Well, I think we're overlooking the black mother who has had to protect her son from a pretty awful society. And he, with the same juices that all men have, has been confined within certain limits of his neighborhood or curfewed or what have you.
Now that's interesting. You said the mother, and of course...
But see, he sees his mother as the restraining agent rather than the society itself from which she's protecting him.
Are you saying that a lot of black men go into relationships expecting that the wife be the one
It would be a continuation of the mother figure, so to speak.
No.
And he's angry with black women in general because the first black woman he knows is his mother, and all she's been trying to do is to keep him from doing something stupid so he doesn't get lynched, but he sees it as a form of confinement. So when he marries a woman, or when he even considers marrying, or even for that matter, just being with a black woman, he sees it as some kind of a burden that's going to restrain him, that's not going to allow him his freedom. He doesn't see her, what she has done, as a means to save his life in many cases.
That's a theory I don't quite agree with. I mean, the fact that somehow black boys and black children, particularly male children, have seen their mothers as primarily restraining, harsh agents, punishing them, and then grow up to see all black women as somehow, people who are going to do them harm or restrain them or keep them down. I know that I think that has some significance, but I don't think it's the main thing.
Well, what is the main thing?
Operating. I think the main thing operating is that black men have had a hard time getting manhood in this society on any level.
But is manhood given to you externally?
No.
Can't you
Well, particularly
claim
not
it?
to the black man. No.
You
can't
Not
claim
economically, they can. Not in this society. Not now.
Well, then what are we saying?
Sometimes
Let's pack up our bags, ladies, and leave the country.
No, black men are getting it.
But it's very gradual, and it's not given as a token to everyone. They have to struggle like crazy to get
But is it all money and is it all finance?
Well, it's a lot of it.
A lot of it. But I'm thinking very personally now. My grandfather was a carpenter. He was a marvelous carpenter. Because of discrimination, he could not join the union. But he was an incredibly industrious man. I absolutely adored him, and now that I don't have him anymore, I recognize his genius in so many respects. He was considerate, affectionate, non-brutal.
Oh, yes.
Now, so obviously individuals can influence their behavior. Now, don't a lot of men, because of all of these explanations that the doctors give, rationalize just inconsideration?
Well,
in other words, everybody's looking for a punching bag, and if you're told, punch away because we know society is very hard on you.
Right, okay.
Yeah, someone can, they can do that. Yeah,
sure
they use it that way, and sometimes they can manipulate women, or by using arguments about their manhood, or they accuse the black woman of being castrating, quote, that the black woman is somehow.
Are we castrating and matriarchal?
I don't think so.
I don't
what do
think
you
so
think?
Either. Not really.
But these
it
myths
depends what you're sensitive to.
I think it has something to do with the fact that women are looking to lean upon their man, and there are, of course, instances where he does not wish to be leaned upon, and she finds out she has to pick up the reins in the absence of no one picking them up. She therefore becomes, at least to him, some type of matriarch. In other words, sometimes he manipulates a woman into the position where she has to be bitchy, if you want to use that term, and he then can reinforce his own theory that she's that way anyway. But he does something. The source is that he commits something or he does something that puts her in that position. This is not always true, but it is true in a lot of instances. If she can understand in advance that he has a need to do this, she can ward it off or avoid it or get out of the line of fire.
How?
Well, she first must be able to understand it, and she must therefore be able to understand herself. And that's the first thing she has to learn how to do.
Now, what must she understand about herself?
I think understand things about herself and what's going on with the man, in a sense that a lot of men in this society in general, white men, black men, get their definition of being a man from women, how women relate to them.
That's true.
And a lot of it is sexist. That is, what women do. So that if you've been hearing all of your life that the way you're a man is to be like John Wayne, or the way you are a man is for a woman to be very dependent and obedient with you, and then you run into a black woman.
Is this why so many black men these days are pointing out that women of all colors who may not necessarily be black are still soul sisters, and therefore this justification for ignoring black women?
Soul sisters?
Because of the obedience, of the different cultural upbringing?
It's clear to me that frequently black men have complained that they have felt that the black woman is too strong or not dependent, don't seem to need them as much.
But if what you say is so, Doctor,
kind of
it says to me that if a black man who does have these problems looks at a black woman, he is then reminded of his problem, and maybe the problem can't go away. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a second. I'm not sure whether or not the doctors are consoling me or making me more frightened, because picking up on that point, if a man, for whatever reason, sees his blackness as a burden, something he's carrying around on his shoulder, and he can't be everything that he wants to be, how can he really look into the eyes of a black woman that reminds him totally of everything that's holding him back and say, I think you're beautiful, I really love you, and mean it, really?
Well, I don't think the whole thing's total. That is, black men vary. There's some more concerned about their manhood and self-esteem than others. I mean, if we take one statistic that you're not going to believe, a lot of people, that is that about 98 or 97% of black men who are married to black women.
Yes,
okay?
Are married.
Are
right,
married
okay.
to black women.
Okay.
And tend to be attracted to them. I'm just, in general, that's the thrust of their attraction.
When are those dates?
When are those? You mean
from those statistics.
I mean, you can't testify to that?
No.
Well,
no.
Well, that is true. Those statistics are current. So that black men are marrying black women.
They're also marrying white women.
Yeah, they are marrying white women.
Aren't those statistics increasing?
It's still a small percentage, though. I would say it moved in about the past 10 years from about 2% of black men to 3%.
Now, maybe it's so noticeable because of our society, so many men, one, you tend not to think of a husband being suitable if he's perennially unemployed, because you think of support, drugs, other problems, prisons. So we're reducing the number of available men.
That's true.
Available black men.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing is, there are black women, who don't want to marry black men. I mean, it's always kind of implied that it's black men running away from black women, but I know a lot of black women who even will want to have children but not want to have a man that is around.
Do you really
or they
see this
see
a lot,
the black
Doctor?
man as a burden. And this is frequently true in some of the lower income
Have you ever
groups.
personally encountered that? I know you're
Encountered
happily
that?
married now, but I mean before.
Before? I would say that sometimes I've met black women who have been very rejecting of me as a black male, sure. I've met
Now, you're
black
a
women
Harvard
who have been
professor,
more into the
you're an
right thing than any
MD, a
black male I've
psychiatrist.
known.
What more could they want? You're beautiful to look at.
Oh, that's nice.
No, seriously.
No, but because you can run into black women with some of the same kinds of severe hang-ups.
Does it go
that a
back to
black
liking
male
yourself,
has.
being able to reproduce yourself?
In
I'm
part,
not sure
suppose-
many people are
Okay.
secure enough in being able to do that.
Yeah, see, there's lots of things that sometimes, you can get very light-skinned people who really want to reproduce browner children. See, they don't necessarily gravitate toward white. I'm sure you know people like that. But what I'm saying is just that the problem is on both sides, for the black man and for the black woman. The black man, because they can be more aggressive in society, ask out who they want to date and so on.
But I think he's
there's a dual
overlooking
problem.
one thing, and that is if you're going to do it statistically in a relevant state, there are more black men in any state in this union who are marrying white women than the reverse being true.
Oh, that's true.
Well, then your
That's-
statistics distorted the picture somewhat
Well, the
by
statistics
saying...
have
Not
maybe
really.
something to do with the
That
way
no
black
matter-
women might feel, but they're not marrying white men at the kind of rate that black men
Maybe
are
the white
marrying
man
white
ain't
women.
maybe the white man ain't asking.
Well,
them.
that's what it
But
is.
that
There's
doesn't
no
mean
doubt
that
about it.
They don't want to marry them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Now, what I'm noticing, though, if you take, for example, couples that have been married 20, 25 years, and we're seeing more divorces. Very frequently, professional black men, the second time around, seem to marry, now this, of course, is a generalization, but they seem to be marrying younger white women to
That's
start
true.
their second families. Now, why is this?
I don't know if that's true, but go ahead. I mean,
I
have
think
the data on it.
statistically it is true, and I
What-
think it has something to do with the fact when he first started out, he needed a helpmate. There had to be somebody there that was going to get him through school and, whatever it was that he was doing before he, arose to the position that he has gotten. Also, considering that he's usually probably in his 40s by the time he does this, a white woman was prohibited to him at the time that he started out, which has to be 20, 25 years ago. So now he's in a position, not only, plus black men are extremely attractive to white women wherever you go. And of course, I have to throw this in, and that is that the white woman who marries a black man is not into female liberation. The black women are not into it anyway, generally speaking, because they realize that their own men haven't been liberated, and so they have to wait until he has, risen on the economic scale on some type of par with the black men.
But
But
then-
white women are not into female
But
labor.
maybe not general liberation, but what about sexual liberation?
Black women are less into it than white women. They're still very puritanical, generally speaking, because part of white female liberation deals with this total sexual liberation.
Well, when any affair, when a marriage is over, and I know you wanted to get in, how do you cope with it being over? I mean, you've been married, whether it's 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. An important part of your life has just been cut out.
Well, I think it's very hard to cope. I would say before I get in
Sure it
we're saying things about black men and white women, and it goes back and forth. I don't know if even the things that we say are statistically correct and necessarily correct about what's happening.
Well,
back
I'll
in-
say this.
But
I'll say
that's
this,
all.
Doctor.
Be
Whether they're
be careful.
absolutely statistically correct or not, I know it's the way black women think, and it's the way they feel, and the observations that they're making.
We can't cast either the fact that black men, say, marry white women or the reverse, that it's necessarily a problem. See, we're talking about it
agree.
as if it's a problem.
Oh,
or
to the
something
black
bad
woman
or
To
who
the
wrong.
is
black woman, it
looking
is
for a
problem.
man.
It is, because she doesn't have that many black men to choose from,
Yeah.
because he's been decimated, as she said,
Yeah.
by alcohol, drugs, imprisonment, and there are fewer black eligible males
Yeah.
to get to.
But-
now, we don't need to give them away to the white
Yeah, but
ladies.
there's some
That's
kind
the
of
way black women
connotation
feel.
The doctor has
that
articulated
it's pathology or something in the black male, say, if he, but see, like it's pathology or bad for the black male to do it, but that the black woman, when she marries a white man, people don't think of her as
There's
being
more of 'em.
pathological.
I don't
Kind
think
of.
it's pathological
but they
that
kind
they
of
do
has
it.
a connotation that somehow the
No,
black
I
man
don't
is
believe it's
disturbed
pathological.
or hasn't found himself
No.
or doesn't know himself.
No, I
because
know of
he's,
mixed marriages
you
that
know,
are quite
he's-
happy and have been for 10 or 15
you know,
years
so
and
I-
continue to be.
yeah,
I don't
so that
believe it's
connotation,
pathological.
Because there's psychiatrists around, who will say that any interracial couple is sick.
Oh, no, I don't
and will
believe
treat
that.
them as
Oh, no, I don't
disturbed.
know.
No, I don't
Going-
believe that.
You
I don't
know,
think
that
we're not
kind
going
of
that
thing,
far
and I
afield.
think-
When do we need you?
Okay.
When do we need to go to you?
Okay.
In other words, if you're in a relationship, what kinds of problems should we
Well,
have?
you were talking about coping before, breaking up with an affair or relationship more, and I would say that's very similar to someone dying on you frequently.
Sure it is. That's
That
a part of you
you
that's
lose something.
gone.
It's a loss.
It's a tremendous sense of
You
loss.
get depressed, and you have to go through a period of what we call grief.
Is a woman
reaction.
too old-fashioned if she can't cope with living with somebody, which seems to be the trend that's taking over like a disease?
I don't like the term old-fashioned. I think it's so highly individualistic. You have to probe your own depths to find out, would you be comfortable in that kind of situation? And if you would be comfortable with it and it's not going to chafe you and it's the only way you can be with this man and that's what you really want to do, you weigh it and say, which do I want the most? Do I want to be with this man despite the small amount of discomfort I'm going to have, or it's going to be so much discomfort that I'd rather give up the man? You can't generalize a thing like
You're
that.
talking about a very practical psychology which says, I
Yes.
believe I'd rather be with you in your world than without you
You
in
in
mine.
mine.
Is that how
Something
the song
like
goes?
that.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
I agree.
Relationships seem to deteriorate when people have expectations and the other person doesn't meet them. In marriage, are there any checklist points?
Well, I don't know if you can call them checklists, but the problem seems to be that people marry for fairly crazy reasons: sex, money, good looks.
Those sound fabulous to me. I don't know.
They sound fabulous to me, but it's only a part of the fabric. You know that. And but the real thing that most people want is to be themselves and to fulfill themselves, and they need to meet a partner or a mate that is willing to go along with their program as well as they are willing to go along with the partners.
And maybe we're going to reach a point where marriage can't be forever, where people can go through stages.
Serial
marriage.
monogamy.
That's right.
But
know.
women don't really have to tolerate all of this abuse and this
No.
nonsense. This is what's
Right.
concerning me so deeply, that people have such low opinions of themselves. Look, you can always walk. You can always walk. It might be more difficult.
But
Yeah,
that's
but
not
women have
that's
the
not a way to
burden
go
of-
into
Women
marriage.
have the
then.
burden of marriage's breakup of the children, and I
Exactly.
think that
Yes.
is an important
Yeah.
key factor that makes
Yeah.
it much more
Absolutely,
difficult
for her.
them
It
to
does.
have new relationships a whole bit. So she has
Thank
a
you
more
so
serious
much. You'll
problem.
have to come back another time.
Okay.
Okay. Please write, because I would like your reaction to this. I believe very, very strongly in any kind of relationship, you only should tolerate that which you want to tolerate. Alice Travis, for you, black woman, FDR Station, Post Office Box 5080, New York, New York, 10022. If you don't know where you're going, when you get there, you can't complain, and there are no more colored girls. The lady is black.
For you, black woman, brought to you in part by Nicholas Products.